The journey to a safer South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa walked through the streets of the gang-ridden community of Hanover Park before launching the anti-gang unit. Gangsters have reigned supreme here for years, killing innocent children, raping young girls, and recruiting powerless youngsters into the dark underworld of crime.
This man came here, he spoke, he promised, yes, he promised there's going to be patrolling and everything is going to be on point. But when they came, they were only here for the first 2 days. I saw them in the morning, I saw them when I came from school. After that, I didn't see them again. And what happened, there were still gunshots being fired.
The gang unit will consist of 95 members who will be deployed in several areas.
They have sent us to you to say they have just one request, to make sure that their children, they can play outside after 6. Mr. President, we'll be handing over this strategy to you that will be working on to roll the whole strategy to the places that you have mentioned before, and the answer is just one. Tumathina, Mr. President.
Ramaphosa says government is concerned about high levels of unemployment, a lack of housing and education, especially among young people.
We must insist and push our children to go to school without any compromise. Every parent is committing a crime if you are not going to insist that your child must be in school. It is you as a parent who are committing a crime against that child and the future of that child. One of these days, I'm going to propose that we should have a law that parents who do not insist that their children must be in school will be committing a crime.
The gang unit started working last month and has made a number of arrests. Residents here are hopeful.
I just hope and pray that it will last, that it's not just going to be here today, gone tomorrow, and then everything is back to square one.
The specialized unit will also be deployed to areas such as Nyanga, Bonteheuwel, and Bishop Lavis. The president says he will return to Hanover Park in January for an update on the unit's work. Nomato Solwandle, SABC News, Hanover Park on the Cape Flats.
Well, for more on that story, we're joined on the line by independent crime analyst, that's Dr Chris de Kock. He's on the line from Pretoria. Good evening, Chris, and thank you so much for your time on the SABC News Desk.
Good evening, and good evening to the listeners.
Chris, as of today, we have a highly visible, well-equipped police unit and a strong community mobilization campaign. To get the right political support is almost the only way to get action. Is that right? Do we have all the ingredients necessary, or are we getting the recipe right to clean up the targeted areas?
Well, I think we are going to start to clean up the area. These anti-crime units, as far as my knowledge goes, also include investigators. And if we look earlier this week, about 2 days ago, a high-profile advocate which handled these cases, the gang cases, were killed in Greenpoint, and there were immediate arrests by the anti-crime units. So I think, and even today there were arrests, which indicate that we are going in the right direction. You see, when it comes to gangs, one of the most important things is intelligence. So we must get the intelligence on gangs and gang leaders, and then follow up with investigation, solid investigation.
Chris,
and then arrest and prosecution.
Yes, Chris, we've heard some robust calls recently for the SANDF to be called in. But will rolling in the army at this point, it will not fundamentally address the root causes of crime in these targeted areas, will it?
No, it won't. And I also have a problem in principle with using the Defence Force. The units which are now deployed by the police have already the necessary training to deal with gangs. I mean, some of the tactical response units are basically semi-military. Now, you don't need the military. The military wasn't trained to work with gangs. And I'm afraid if the military comes under fire and they answer with fire, it may be a little bit of a war, and innocent people may be caught up in that.
Very quickly, Doctor, we are running out of time. We heard the President today call for a strong, robust partnership between police and community members themselves. But an interesting dynamic that comes through is that sometimes the drug lord or the gangster himself is protected by some community members because maybe he's providing assistance in terms of financial aid or favours of some sort. And then we see this perverse kind of loyalty coming to the fore. And it's not always easy to break to counter such crime, is it?
No, that's very true. I mean, the gang bosses are playing a very, very major role in the social fabric of those communities. They are assisting the communities. They have certain areas that they control. And sometimes, unfortunately, the children are involved they are drawn into the gang activities and into the drug activities and dealing in drugs.
Independent crime analyst there joining us on the line, Dr. Chris de Kok. Thank you so much for your time on the SABC News Desk. Time to take a short break.